You're still here on Joy News, and we have been bringing you that education dialogue at the Kofi Annan ICT Center. And we will be crossing back to the venue where we have Dr. Yao Cheba speaking. He is the Public Relations Officer of the Conference of Heads of Private Secondary Schools. Let's listen in.
This particular challenge, we have it today. If we had considered the private senior high schools, I am very sure we have 946, I stand to be corrected, senior high schools per WAEC 2018. Out of that, I saw 696 being public, which means that on the average, we have 250 private senior high schools that also participate in the WASI. Out of these 250 private senior high schools, the headache of government now is 181,000. Granted, on the average, even 500 students are posted to these private senior high schools. They are going to absorb 125,000. Some of them can absorb more than the 500, which means your headache of 181,000 leading to double track wouldn't be really necessary. Prior to introduction of free SHS, the computer school and selection placement system used to place candidates into private senior high schools. These are schools your outfit and that of Ghana Education Service have come to inspect. You don't just start with the private senior high school. The region, national, secondary division, and West African Examination Council comes to inspect facilities before everything is given. Candidates were sent to our various schools. Then you had come to do the inspections. Then you knew that they had what it takes to run. Initially, by default, there was a cutoff point. So, candidates that were not absorbed into various public institutions, we absorbed them into our institutions. And most of these candidates have equally graduated from the same public universities and others that their counterparts had opportunity. It tells you that when they are also given the support, obviously we can all help and work in tandem to ensure the common vision of trying to provide quality education to our young ones. Let us not have this idea, and I already mostly get it from your outfit, that we have this perception that once it's private, they are profit-oriented. Undoubtedly, it may be so. But in a situation where you find yourself in this particular situation, and you know that they have the facilities to absorb, and I can tell you, some of your public schools come and use the laboratory of some private schools. They have those resources. They have those equipments. Most private schools have collapsed. And as we speak, meanwhile, they have the facilities to absorb over 2,000, close to 3,000 candidates. But they have collapsed. What are they using those facilities for? Meanwhile, we have other students in public schools that have been overpacked. We feel if we should sit dialogue and have a serious discussion and see the role which every individual can play as far as this is concerned, we believe that we can make a headway. You are seeing double track as a desperate measure for a desperate situation. But I'm sorry to disappoint you. We don't see this as a desperate situation. We feel there is a way out. And we feel we also have some quota to contribute. Then if our issues are taken into cognizance, undoubtedly, we can do it. Why did you come to inspect our schools? For what? You came to do all the inspection, to check our teachers, to check everything. And today, because of free SHS, you tell me I don't have competent teachers. When you were posting students to my school initially, they didn't have competent teachers. At least you can still have some outstanding private schools. Why not look at them, select them, those who can really work within the ambience of your rules, and let us use them. You say you have absorbed, I really want to find out the 15 schools you have absorbed. And I know for sure there are some that they have surrounded their schools because there are no students to operate, so they have given it out. Are we going to collapse all the schools? We have over 10,000 teaching staff. If all these schools collapse, you have to create another source of employment for them. This is what we are trying to raise. We support free SHS, but we can equally help you. Our point is very simple and very clear. I'll speak according to my height and I'll end here. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Well, that suggests that those of us who are tall end up speaking longer, which may be true, although some of the people who have caused great change in the world were, I don't want to say short. Napoleon the Great, we hear, didn't have great height. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are the dialogue on education policy in Ghana, unpacking the double track system, implications for sustainable financing and prospects for educational quality in Ghana. The last speaker, Mr. Chebafo, makes a good point that, well, maybe there may be challenges with the quality of their teachers, but if we are going to employ new teachers, then maybe we can deploy some of those teachers into those schools.
So we just coming back from the Kofi Annan ICT Center, where we just heard from the Public Relations Officer of the Conference of Heads of Private Secondary Schools, Naftali Chebafo. He's just making one call that they should be included in the rollout of this double-track system. Kojo, before we go, let's just do a quick wrap of all we've heard so far. We heard from the former Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Charles Ahetochegan. He says government should consider the placement approach, where some students will be placed in schools according to their strengths instead of an all-size-fits-all approach.
In fact, both of those two last speakers have crystallized a lot of the criticism that government has been facing throughout this process, especially since the inception of free SHS. And this idea of placement and means testing and so forth, this is not the first time we've heard of it. Even the finance minister himself last year hinted that there might be plans to set up some sort of fund so that parents who can pay through the PTA system perhaps will go towards funding the education of their own children. And you know, this is something which I've got to say has been repeated by several other critics of the free SHS system, including the finance minister, who said it again just a few weeks ago. And then this idea of placing students where they would be best suited and maintaining some sort of protection around the well-endowed schools is yet another of the calls that many have been making. Whether or not this defeats the purpose of the social intervention is the real discussion point here. But finally, that issue of actually involving the stakeholders in decision-making, the teachers, the head teachers, it actually doesn't seem logical that you would do something that revolves so closely around teachers, head teachers and students without involving them in the process. But that is the criticism that is being leveled against government. As to whether that is what they did or not, I think in the end it is the results that will bear out.
Thank you very much, my colleague Kojo Yankson there. So that's how we wrap up this special edition of News Desk. In a short while, my colleague Daniel Datsi will come over with the midday news.